If you're on the hunt to save some serious cash when buying a home in Michigan, then listen up. Steer clear of buying a house in these Detroit suburbs. In this video, I'm about to spill the beans on the cities and areas you might want to avoid, especially if the thought of a never-ending sky-high tax bill gives you the jitters. Because let's face it, you work way too hard for your money to just throw it away. So let's make sure you're investing in the right Michigan home. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, so let's talk about the cities or areas in Michigan that might not be your best bet. Now, you might be wondering, can you really tell me not to buy a house in a certain area? Well, it's not as black and white as that. What I can tell you is that some areas come with super high taxes. So if you're planning to settle down for the long haul or thinking of turning your purchase into a rental property, brace yourself for a tax bill that's not just hefty, but also keeps inching up. When you're looking at buying a house, it's crucial to see it as a long-term investment. Even if you're not planning to be a real estate mogul, this mindset is key. Why? Because even after you've paid off your mortgage, those pesky taxes aren't going anywhere. So, you're still looking at ongoing taxes, and if you're eyeing a swanky suburb, don't forget the HOA fees. Yep, taxes and HOA fees, they're sticking around. I've seen clients who plan to move in 5 years, others who want to hold on to their property for rental income, and some who are purely in it for the investment. Whichever category you fall into, I've got insights for you. An important piece of the puzzle is rental rates. If you're eyeing a property as a secondary investment, expect to pay more in taxes, like 40% more than if it were your primary residence. We're going to dive into millage rates, which are basically your property tax rates. Without getting too technical, think of it like this. If a millage rate is 10, you're paying $10 for every $1,000 of your property's assessed value. And usually, your assessed value is about half of what you paid for your house. So, for a $500,000 house, your taxes are based on an assessed value of about $250,000. Stick around till the end of this video because I'm going to reveal a city with 6 different tax rates depending on where you live. Some are insanely high, while others are surprisingly low. And the twist? The area with the lower rate has some of the best houses. First up, let's talk about Royal Oak Township. If you caught my video on the best places to live in Oakland County, Michigan, you'll know Royal Oak made the cut. But here's the twist. We're not talking about the city of Royal Oak. This is Royal Oak Township we're discussing. The taxes here, they're off the charts. We're talking a tax rate of 74 if you're living there and a whopping 92 if you're renting it out. Imagine owning a $200,000 house in Royal Oak Township with Ferndale schools. You'd be shelling out over $7,000 a year in taxes if you're living there, and over $9,000 if it's a rental. That means if you're renting out your home for about $1,000 a month, over $700 of that is going straight to taxes. That's wild. And it's a similar story with Royal Oak Township with Oak Park School. Now, if you bought the same house in the city of Royal Oak, you'd be looking at about $4,000 in taxes if you're living there and roughly $5,700 if it's a rental. So if renting out is your game, the city of Royal Oak is where you want to be. Next, let's chat about Detroit. If you've seen my video on why you should think twice before moving to Detroit, Michigan, you'll know my feelings about the city aren't all doom and gloom. There's a lot happening, plenty to do, and the city is definitely on the move. There's a bunch of old houses, and prices are climbing as more people decide to make Detroit their home. The tax rate here is 70.32 if you're living there and a staggering 88.5 if you're renting. Almost as crazy as Royal Oak Township. The average home price in the city is around $45,000, but that's on the rise. So if you snag a $200,000 house in Detroit, you're looking at over $7,000 in taxes if you're living there and about $8,800 if it's a rental. Bottom line, if you're planning to rent out in Detroit, be prepared for a hefty tax bill. Now, on to Ferndale, Michigan. This one also ranks high on my list of top places to live in Oakland County. But here's the catch. If you're holding on to a house as a long-term investment property, those taxes are going to hit your wallet hard. The tax rate is 54 if you're living there and jumps to 72 if it's a rental. That's quite the leap. The city's average home price is hovering around $148,000 right now, but that's on an upward trend, especially in this market. People love living in Ferndale. It's got a cool downtown vibe, lots of activities, and honestly, I think it's one of the best places to live in Michigan. But as an investment property, maybe not so much, and that's a bummer because it would be an awesome place to have a rental. So, if you're in Ferndale, make sure to check out the Flytrap Diner and One-Eyed Betty's. A bit off topic, I know, but hey, I've got to share some top-notch recommendations with you. These spots are amazing. Seriously, every time I'm there, I have to stop by. But often, I'm too busy selling houses to indulge. Let's talk about Southfield, Michigan. This is a hot topic when it comes to taxes. People always mention how high the taxes are in Southfield, and they're not wrong. But it's also not as straightforward as it seems because there are several different tax areas here. If you're in Southfield with Southfield schools, you're looking at a tax rate of about 63 if you're living there and 65 if it's a rental. That's between $6,300 and $6,500 on a $200,000 house. Not as extreme as some of the other areas we've talked about. It dips a bit if you're in the Birmingham School District, which is a highly sought-after area, but skyrockets if you're renting out. Living in Southfield with Birmingham schools is great, but renting out in this area, your taxes are going to be through the roof. And that's tough because it's one of the most desirable real estate markets around. Everyone wants to be in Southfield with Birmingham schools if they're in Southfield. But here's a pro tip. If you want to live in Southfield and save a ton on taxes, aim for Southfield Township. The rates there are way, way lower. It's a smart move if you're looking to keep those tax bills in check. Next, we've got Westland, Michigan. This one's a bit of a puzzle. There are 6 different zones in Westland. Can you believe that? 6 in one city. You've got areas with Westland schools, Garden City schools, Inkster schools, Romulus schools, and Livonia schools. That's a lot to keep track of. The priciest area in Westland is actually the zone with Inkster schools. You're looking at a tax rate of 56 mils if you live there and a whopping 74 if you rent it out. That's about $7,400 in taxes on a $200,000 house. But here's the twist. The Livonia School District area of Westland is actually the cheapest. The same house in this area will cost you about $1,000 less in taxes. The catch? It's the most expensive part of Westland to buy in. So if you're eyeing Westland and you want to save on taxes, the Livonia School District is your best bet. You'll pay more up front, but in the long run, you'll save big on taxes. And remember, taxes are one thing you'll always have to deal with. So it's worth considering the long-term impact. So, what do you think about this list? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you're looking to make a move to any of these cities or areas, reach out. I'm here to help. And if you're still exploring other areas in Michigan, check out some of my other videos and playlists. I'll see you there, and let's find you the perfect spot in Michigan.